Hi, welcome to another session of Wing Chun Kun. If you're out in public, please wear a mask. Okay, so I've decided to make my own Bart Cham Dao in the last series. If you've seen that already, these are the four designs, and I decided to make this one here, the 5.5. It's the classic design. As you can see, there's a little hook here to stop weapons from coming down your blade. There's the little quill in here that's going to stop people from coming in. This will be a non-flippable design. Flip meaning this. We're not going to do that. And a little bit thicker here at the end because you want a little extra metal at the end to balance the sword so that it's not going to be too blade heavy. That's why this part is a little bit thicker. And this angle here of this handle is a little bit angled in so that the blade is pointing downwards a little bit so that you get a more powerful thrust and chop, mostly a chop when you come down. It'll bring people's swords in. I didn't want to do this one because this is not so good in defense, but a very fast and nimble sword, but not good in defense simply because this is only a stabber design. So I'm going to abandon this one. Number 5 here is the same as the other one. And the number 6, I may go into the number 6 because there's an extra curve here. And this extra curve is good for trapping people down your blade. But it's not so good circling around people's weapons simply because this is better for trapping. It's harder to flip around other people's weapon. But I don't know. I'm going to make this first, and I could go from here to here by just grinding this in further. So this is what I'm going to make. And looking around to do this kind of work, building one from scratch, it's really useful to have a 2x72 size grinder. So, how much can this cost? Let's look on eBay, right? And see where we're at. Wow, look, $500. Ooh, $600. No motor. $496. No motor. With the motor, $1,073. $938. No, maybe with the motor. Oh, $1,000. Ooh, $551. No motor. Man. Wheels, $150. Oh, God. That's crazy. I'm going to go make my own. And you know what? Out of scrap material. The only thing I need to do is purchase a motor. Because of COVID-19, everything that I'm using, even the nuts and bolts and the wood, are all scraps and what I can find in my garage. So this is a skateboard that I have from, like, I guess, since when I was a kid. Maybe this thing is like 30 years old. It's a bit rusty. Hopefully it's gonna work. This is another skateboard that my kids used to play with when they were young. And this skateboard is probably 15 years old. And that's plan B. The other skateboard was plan C. They kind of turn these wheels, but I'm not sure how good they are. The whole point of this project is to use what I have. So this old skateboard, it's almost 2 inches wide. So this could work because the grinder sandpaper is width is 2 inches as well. I put some oil in there. It kind of turns. But my first choice are these
these wheels, they seem to work well. Although there's no bearings inside, I don't think. But I got them really cheap a long time ago, and it's been in my garage for a long time. So I'm gonna start with these caster wheels and see how far I'm gonna get. So uh, I really don't want to spend any kind of cash except for buying the motor because I'm not a knife maker and I won't be running this machine all the time. I'd be only making my Bart Cham Dao swords now, and then I won't touch this machine for a very long time. Although a 2x72 grinder is really, really useful having it in your garage to do any kind of work. Um, the amazing thing is that it doesn't really heat up the metal when it grinds. So that's really, really helpful. Um, Here are three circles that I've cut out with my little cheap baby bandsaw that doesn't really do the job. And then I'm going to glue these three pieces together. The problem is I don't have a drill press. So when I'm drilling these holes, they're not really going in perfectly perpendicular. So that problem is going to come up a little bit later on, as you see. This kind of reminds me of the time I'm making my dummy because I'm quite handy when it comes to working with wood, gluing pieces of wood together. So I think actually this is a hardwood, maple hardwood that I'm doing for the drive wheel that is going to be attached directly on the shaft of the motor. So I'm gonna glue these three pieces together. So I've ordered a motor and it just arrived. I have to make a mounting plate underneath because there was no mounting brackets for this motor. I got it really cheap. I think it was US dollars, around 50 to 60 bucks. It was like a floor model that they had out. Um, that was a pretty good deal. It's a 1 horsepower AC motor, and so I only have one speed. I won't be able to get a speed controller to make different speeds. Well, that's the way it goes. I want to go cheap. I'm not gonna spend more money than that. Unfortunately, the shipping and handling was another $50, $60, and I got hit by custom when it came by, and taxes and custom cost me another $50 or $60. So overall, I think it cost me, give or take, around 150 to 180 bucks, which I could have bought locally for around $240. So it didn't end up that cheap, but at least is not over $200. This motor is for 1 horsepower is the minimum that will work for a 2x72 inch grinder. Anything more than 1 horsepower is good, but anything less than 1 horsepower actually isn't good enough. So because I couldn't drill the hole in this drive wheel for the wood perfectly perpendicular, the wheel kind of mounted on the shaft kind of crooked. It was not perfectly uh, perpendicular, so it was kind of wobbly at first. So no problem. I mean, this motor in itself is kind of like a lathe. So I cut the hole, I jammed it in there, and it was wobbling. So all I'm doing is turning on the motor, plugging it in, and I'm just gonna put my belt sander to it to make it perfectly round. You'll see later on how uneven it is. But now after grinding it and putting a chisel on it and everything, it's pretty round. I mean, you can't get more rounded than that. I mean, it's not as good as a an aluminum drive wheel that you would buy. This is about a 4.5 inch in diameter, and as you could see, it's pretty flat. It's not perfect. I mean, if you look at the sides, you could see that it does wobble a little bit, but that's to the side, and the side doesn't really. I don't really care about the side. I only care about the top, where it touches the belt. So where it touches the belt on the top is actually very flat and even and round. If you see the glue marks where the two pieces of wood comes together, you could see that it wobbles. But that doesn't really matter because it's grind down to a pretty round circle. So I don't really care what it's made of as long as that the circle itself on the circumference of this wheel is flat, and it is. That's good enough for me. So here it is. It's This will do for me. And on the next one, you're gonna see me try to put it together. This is not a how-to. This is just the way I did it with the hand tools. So stay tuned and see you next time. Thanks. Bye.